Yo, it's your boy TTK, and welcome back to part 2 of discussing every single Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet NU. In the last video, we discussed a pretty good amount of NU Pokemon, and we're going to continue because we still got another part to go, plus an additional part after this one. So yeah, coming at you live at midnight on the 3rd of February 2023. It's time for us to discuss some more NU Pokemon, but before we get into the juicy stuff, if you guys like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you haven't, we're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'll be very happy if we're able to reach that goal. So if you really enjoy the content that this channel provides, consider subscribing. Much appreciated. But either way, let's get on to it. In the last part, we ended at Jumpluff, so anything after Jumpluff is fair game, and then I suppose we'll see what happens afterwards. So yeah, let's discuss Cloth now. Oh wait, alphabetical order? Yeah, I think I've done it. Yeah, so let's discuss Cloth now. Now, isn't too many rock types in NU, to be fair. Like, we have a decent amount, and the rest are just kind of what we call shitters around here. Like, we have Sudowoodo, we have some other NFE Pokemon which are actually pretty decent. I'm not too sure I mentioned Glimmer yet, but Glimmer is actual decent, like, suicide lead. So if I didn't mention that in the previous video, my bad. But yeah, Glimmer is actually kind of viable in NU. But Cloth, on the other hand, this one's decent enough. Like, it's not an on-mon status and it's not Sudowoodo level, but it has two decent abilities. It has Anger Shell, which might come into clutch like one game or two, and then it has Regenerator, which is obviously one of the best abilities in the entire game. So what does Cloth really offer to the table? I guess is a rocker, is an offensive rocker that, relatively hits hard and has like decent physical bulk, and obviously has like no Spadef stat like most rock Pokemon have. But either way, I don't know how good Cloth overall is in NU. Like, there's a lot of fighting type Pokemon around that kind of just slap this thing around, but the Terra potential's there. You could Terra Fairy to get the jump on the fighting types like Medicham or Persimmon, and is a rock type that doesn't have Earthquake, which is like one of the weirdest things, to be honest. Like, most rock types typically get Earthquake, but like, it's like Lycanroc, to be honest. Like, Lycanroc only has Draw Runner's coverage in terms of the ground side, so you have to deal with high horsepower, which is obviously slightly weaker than Earthquake, and has 95% accuracy. But either way, Cloth has a decent attacking move pool. You have Knockoff, you have Edgequake combination, and obviously you have like Trailblaze to boost your speed, which might actually make this thing decently a decent late game cleaner, especially if you get off the Anger Shell. But yeah, I don't think there's anything too crazy, but we'll see if it actually manages to stay NU by the end of this. But yeah, Kricketune, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie. You have like the sticky web guys, which are obviously they have their solidified niche as just sticky web guys, and Kricketune is the worst of them. So this guy's going straight to PU. I'm not gonna lie. Kricketune doesn't like Spidops is bulkier. Spidops has spikes. Masquerain is faster and actually has sweeping potential with Quiver Dance. Kricketune actually just has nothing going for it in NU, so it's gonna be a PU goon. Like, some mons here are just going to be PU goons. Like, there's just no way to handle that, unfortunately. But yeah, on to Leafeon. No one's really discussed Leafeon yet, which is interesting because I do think it has some interesting traits that it has going for it. Now, the speed tier is probably the thing that I've noticed the most about Leafeon. Obviously, it has base 95 speed, and if we look at NU quickly again, like we did in the previous video, we saw some speed tiers and we're comparing the speed tiers, and Leafeon is pretty high up in terms of the ones that are slightly below 100 base speed. So Leafeon's decently fast for the tier, to be honest, and there's a grass type, and I think it benefits a decent amount from Terra, to be honest, because grass offensively isn't particularly the strongest type. Like, there's a lot of types that resist grass, like poison or steel, and obviously getting around that for Leafeon would be pretty good with a move like Terra Blast Fire or Terra Blast Ground to like get the things that wall Leafeon, essentially. Like, what walls Leafeon in general? Like, it normally runs Double Edge plus Leaf Blade combination, and obviously steel types just wall that. So go Terra Ground, go Terra Fire, and you're having a good time. You're also a fire type that would be able to threaten water types, because obviously you have a Leaf Blade, which is still stab after terrestrialization, plus you have a decent defense stat, so you're not easily too revenge killed by you know, Aqua Jet, for example. So in the case you go Fire, Terra Fire or Terra Ground, because you do get that water weakness. So there's things like that. But I think Leafeon's definitely something that you should try and explore, or at least I'm going to try and explore, because I don't think it's going to be too bad, but I wouldn't be too surprised if it dropped to PU, just because, you know, there's how many other broken Pokemon to use, like other grass types to use, like Lilligant or, you know, Jumpluff, which are probably better Pokemon in the meta right now than Leafeon. So yeah, but I don't think it's particularly bad, in my opinion. On to Lilligant itself, which is just straight after Leafeon. We have a lot of Quiver Dance users, and you know, Lilligant's one of them. Is it as broken as Venomoth? Probably not. Tinted Lens is a broken ability. But, you know, you still have the Sleep Powder Quiver Dance combination. You benefit a lot from Terastallization because, you know, back in Gen 7, Lilligant was banned from PU because, you know, number one, you had Z moves, or number two, you still had, like, Hidden Power to, you know, hit your checks. You had HP. You could even run HP Rock for Articuno back then. I remember, you know, some people ran HP Rock for Articuno. But unfortunately, you don't have HP, so you kind of just have to, you know, rely on, you know, Terastallization to help you out here. And, yeah, in terms of what Terra types to run, obviously anything to hit Steel types. Even though there isn't that many Steel types in this tier, there's still Tinkertuff, there's still Berserker, there's still Copper so, you know, getting those Steel types are super effective is pretty nice. You could also go Terra Ground as well. Like anything to hit Steel types. Ground also hits, you know, anything like Poison, for example. Like there's some decent Poison Pokemon in the tier. You know, you have Muck, Coolfish, Skuntank, so Terra Ground hits those for super effective, so that would be nice as well. It really depends on what you're feeling like, or depending on your teammates. It starts Pollen Puff too, so I guess you get that, you know, coverage, but unfortunately you only have 2 moves if you decide to go Sleep Powder QD, so you kind of just have to decide. Probably you don't need Pollen Puff, you can probably just go Giga Drain plus, you know, Terra Blast. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think Pollen Puff is really doing too much for you, but it's obviously Terra Blast where your coverage comes into clutch, and then you just go max, you know, special attack, max speed. I mean, the ability doesn't really matter, to be fair. Like, Chlorophyll might come into clutch if people try and run Sun teams, like Manual Sun, but I haven't really experimented with that or checked that out yet. So, this, like, again, it's like day 1 of the metal, day 2. You know, again, I'm recording this on the 3rd. This video probably won't come out until much later, but, you know, if someone discovers Manual Sun by the time this video comes out, then, you know, I'll take that into account, innit? But yeah, that's it for Lilligant. Luminion, on the other hand, this thing does have defog, and you know, that was Luminion's niche, kind of just being a water defogger, particularly in like back in like Waras PU. You know, Luminion had Scald, it had defog, it had pivoting options with U-turn. Now Luminion is just a waste of space. It's definitely a PU goon by the looks of things. Might even be a ZU goon at this point. Like Luminion is like awful. If you thought Alola Mola got like shagged with, you know, Scald being removed and stuff, Luminion got shagged even harder. At least Alola Mola had like Scald regen, you know, it still has regen, but Luminion, you know, his main niche was like defog, even in like the lowest of tiers, and it just doesn't have that anymore. So, you know, like this is a bad Pokemon. Like, that's it really. Lurantis, also another Pokemon that's, you know, taking a decent hit with, you know, loss of transfer moves. They lost Superpower, which was basically this thing's bread and butter. Unfortunately, it, like, you know, Lurantis would have actually been kind of decent. Like, especially with like Terra Fighting Superpower, this one could have definitely popped off as like a, you know, bulky set of Wincon sort of Pokemon, but, you know, like, it doesn't have that anymore. It still has Leaf Storm, obviously. It's in its move pool. If it lost Leaf Storm, then this one would have just been completely doomed. Not gonna lie, there's like no reason to use this. You might as well just use like Go-Go. Like, this is one of the grass types that don't get Leech Seed, so its utility options, if it didn't have Leaf Storm, would have been nowhere. But yeah, it does have defog though, so Lurantis stocks are kind of high in terms of a grass type, and you know, you could kind of probably use Terra to get around grass type, go Terra Water or whatever. Terra Water would probably be nice to, you know, handle fire types, and then, you know, there's stuff like that. But yeah, Lurantis' main, you know, pull is obviously defog, and Is it that one of the better defoggers in the tier when you have things like Braviary or Driftblim? Probably not, but you know, out of all of these options, Lurantis is pretty much like maybe like top 4 because like realistically, you're not running defog on the Oricorio forms. I suppose you could go on Electric instead of Quiver Dance, but Quiver Dance is so good on these guys that you know there isn't really too much space for defog, and you know Frostmoth is a decent Pokemon at defog, and like these two are like pretty solid as well. So Lurantis is probably at the bottom. And yeah, it's probably not going to see enough usage in NU to you know actually be an NU Pokemon. But there's hope. There's hope. Maybe there's hope. Like I'll try and be optimistic about it. You know, love this again. This is like another 5-second. You know, like Pokemon to speak about is bad. Is a ZU Goon. Not even a PU Goon. Is a ZU Goon. Next Pokemon to discuss. Luxray. We're finally onto Luxray. I want to talk about this Pokemon because I do think it's definitely underrated. I say it's underrated because it has, you know, terrestrialization potential plus agility. So it got agility last gen, and it never really got to show off how strong agility could be because power creep just came too insane for Luxray for it to actually be somewhat viable. And the case might be, you know, the same like 6 months down the line or a year down the line from now. But for now, in this early meta with agility, facade, and you know Terra Normal, like this one's actually gonna be kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. Like Flame Orb Guts, like Luxray's bread and butter since Generation 5. You actually have something to boost that, you know, below average speed stat, and you know, like there isn't that many Pokemon that outspeed Luxray after +2. I'm not gonna lie. In terms of Scarfers, like let's look at it. Like you're not running Scarf Jolteon. I'm pretty sure. Now, Wugtrio and Dugtrio obviously outspeed you if they're scarfed, but you know it's not the most common set, and everything else just gets outsped. So Luxray is actually kind of insane. You know, you get a +1 boost to your attack. You know, you still have Wild Charger, Stab, and you can just go like Crunch or Ice Fang. Because realistically, Terra Normal Facade is still breaking the ground types, the few ground types that are available. Like, obviously, you can't click Wild Charge versus Anaconda and that, but these guys are dropping to, you know, Facade. I'm not lying, like these guys are straight out dropping. So Luxray is actually kind of scary, and I implore you guys to actually give it a shot because I do think this one has a lot of potential to work, and it's probably more consistent than Flareon at the Terra Normal Guts thing because you know Flareon can't really double its speed like Luxray can. So yeah, that's pretty cool. On to Lycanroc now. I'll discuss both of them at the same time, to, you know, save time. But yeah, normal Lycanroc, fast. It actually kind of hits hard. I'm not gonna lie, it does hit hard. You could go Terra Fairy to, you know, couple the, you know, fighting types, and you know you're in for a pretty good time. But yeah, this one's definitely good for sure. The speed is too good to give up, and it actually does hit pretty hard with a choice band. So yeah, I do think normal Lycanroc is pretty solid. You can go Stone Edge, Play Rough, obviously. For fighting types, you can go CC and then Drill Run. Now, I did say Drill Run, but it also does have Accelerock, so you know, if you want to keep that priority, you probably drop either Close Combat or Drill Run, depends on the coverage that you need. Like, to be honest, like Rock Fighting is good enough, and also Edgequake is also good enough, so it depends on your preference. I would probably drop Drill Run here for Accelerock, because I do think like the coverage is good enough for you not to necessarily need Drill Run. Like, what's Drill Run really hitting? Like, really, like Steel types, like that gets hit by CC. That's the main reason that you run CC. Is also way stronger than Drill Run. So yeah, there's things like that. But yeah, high attack, high speed, definitely a Pokemon that deserves to see usage. Like there's a lack of ground types, and you know the Steel types get like absolutely destroyed. You know the fighting types can get Terra Fairy'd, for example. Like, you know. No one's talked about this Pokemon either. There's a lot of Pokemon in this alpha period, and as like a lot of people start, you know, using more Pokemon, like I'll probably see more people talking about certain Pokemon like Lycanroc. But again, this is like day 2, so I'm not really expecting too much. Midnight, on the other hand, this is a PU Goon. Like, there's no reason to use this over the midday version. This is definitely dropping to PU, and whether or not it will be decent or not really depends on what P you get, of course. But you know, the no guard Stone Edges, so you never have to worry about missing Stone Edge ever again. But yeah, they still haven't given this Accelerock for some reason, and I don't understand why. But it was always doomed to be the worst Lycanroc form when you give it less speed and, you know, no priority. So what can you really do? But no guard Stone Edge, it'll be a decent PU Goon at least. Cool. On to Mabostiff now. Mabostiff, Is definitely a supercharged Pokemon in this team. I'm not gonna lie. Terra Dark Crunch with Stakeout. Like, what is switching into this Pokemon? Like, I've seen some of the calcs, and it's just 2-hit KO upon 2-hit KO, or even just straight Oko. Like, Marble Stiff is insane. Like, for a mon that looks this, massive, like it actually has a usable speed stat. It has 120 attack. Pair that with a choice band and stakeout. Like this mon is destroying things so easily as well. It also has the play rough coverage as well. All the dogs get play rough because dogs are somewhat violent animals sometimes. So play rough makes logical sense to me in my head. So yeah, there's things like that. The interesting move that this one does have as well is Destiny Bond. Now, Destiny Bond on Choice Scarf sets might be interesting to, beat fighting types or, just get a 1-for-1. But yeah, it's a pretty niche option. Or let me not even say niche. Niche is the wrong word to say. Is a really unique option that Marble Stiff has, because if you look at what has Destiny Bond, like it's always like a bit of like ghost types. You wouldn't really expect this one to have Destiny Bond. But yeah, Marble Stiff is definitely one of the best Pokemon in NU. If it drops the PU, no chance it drops the PU, to be fair. But if it did, the mon would be absolutely insane to use. But yeah. Alright, so we're on to some NFEs now that I've written on my list. Let's discuss Magneton. Now, Magneton is here. Now, Magneton's niche in previous generations has always been, trapping steals. Unfortunately, we don't have much steals to trap in the first place, but something I could say that Magneton traps quite reliably is Tinkertuff, which, doesn't really do much to Magneton other than, like, knockoff or gets off rocks versus it. So, removing the steel type that honestly gets in the way of a good amount of Pokemon in, say, like Marble Stiff or, Gudra, like, getting rid of that steel fairy type in order to spam Draco Meteors or just spam Terra Dark Crunch. Magneton does have a decent niche for itself, but, outside of that, it's still, like, relatively slow. It does hit very hard, though. Like, it does kind of do a Marble Stiff, like, it has Analytic, which is kind of similar to Stakeout, except that if you're the last to move in the turn, I mean, Analytic basically works like Stakeout, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure Stakeout is, 1.5 times, and this is 1.3, so it's slightly weaker, but yeah, you see what I mean here. But yeah, is Magneton going to be an NU staple? Probably drops the PU. I mean, I'm just making some, predictions from what I've seen early on, but, I don't really see this one being too, splashable on many teams, so that's why I'm really saying that it will probably drop to PU. But yeah, Murkrow here. Let's discuss Murkrow now. Like, Murkrow is not doing anything. I just wanted to mention it because it does have, like, Prankster. It does, like, I've tested Murkrow on, like, some rain teams I was running, like, manual rain, and it's like one of the only prankster ones, so it can pull off rain dance quite reliably. You could probably go Morgrem. I'm pretty sure Morgrem also has rain dance as well. But yeah, let's also discuss Morgrem right now, because this one is like the premier screen setter right now. It got Power In Shot this generation, so it's really reliable at what it does, and it just enables a lot of these broken Salve Sweepers to do their jobs properly. Or career forms, Venomoth, BD Zangoose. If you really want to use Belly Drum Zangoose, you're probably just better off going Terra Normal Toxical, but you still have Salve Sweeper options that Morgrem enables to do their job. So yeah, this one's probably going to be NU by the looks of it until potential DLC, power creep coming in. But yeah, this is a pretty good Pokemon too. But yeah, onto the fully evolved Pokemon again. Let's discuss Masquerain. Like I mentioned with Cricketune, there's only so many web setters. I do believe Spidops is one of the better ones in my opinion, but this one has Quiver Dance, so let's not underestimate Masquerain. Is it one of the better Quiver Dance mons? No, not really. Like, Frostmoth is the better bug Quiver Dancer, Venomoth is the better bug Quiver Dancer, Vivillon is the better Quiver Dance bug. So, like, Masquerain has like heavy competition as a Quiver Dance user, but at the same time, assuming the things like Venomoth get booted, and Vivillon might, like, the Oricorio forms are definitely too strong in my opinion, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, like, Webs is mostly the niche on Masquerain, and it's kind of competing with Spidops as well, but it's not a bad one by any means in my opinion. Alright, what's next for us to look at? Medicham, oh god. Yeah, like, this is probably the only one I can say without a shadow of a doubt that probably gets banned. This one is impossible to switch into. You got CC this gen, so it doesn't really have to worry about, crashing into ghost types, for example. Like, you would think that, we have Spiritomb in the tier, and we have like some ghost types that, you know, actually handle this Pokemon. But specifically Spiritomb, because, you know, obviously his dark typing makes it immune to psychic type attacks. But you really could just go Terra Fairy and just blow up Spiritomb. Like, it really can't like stop Medicham. It's incredibly hard to switch into, especially Choice Band. If you go Choice Band, god damn, you're a demon. Like, you're utilizing one of the strongest breakers in the tier with a Choice Band. Like, you know, you get to 219, Pure Power gets it to 438, Choice Band gets it to about 600 and something. Like, this one's ridiculous. Like, it's getting banned for sure. Like, I without a shadow of a doubt, this one's getting banned. It's just too hard to switch into defensively. Impossible to handle defensively, I should say. Muck. Muck is interesting because, like, if you really think about what Muck's niche is in terms of the lower tiers, it's like a bulky, you know, special defense sort of Pokemon. Like, utilizes its typing quite well, and I do think Mono Poison's pretty good right now, just because of the fact that you have things like Venomoth flying around, and obviously Tinted Lens ignores that, but at the same time, you know, it has enough bulk to, you know, kind of threaten that out. It also handles Lilligant quite efficiently as well. You know, unless it goes like Terra Ground, of course. But yeah, Muck can soft check those Pokemon kind of well as well. And yeah, I mean, it probably drops to PU as well. Like, at least from my prediction, like, you could try Assault Vest Muck. I think that could have some sort of merit, because it does have Drain Punch now in its arsenal, which is actually pretty nice, because like, it needed some sort of passive recovery like that isn't exactly leftovers, and with a decent attack stat of 105, like, it could definitely, you know, check Pokemon like Pyro kind of effectively. I think it checks Pyro pretty well, actually, and Muck actually does good damage. You have Poison Jab to spread poison. You know, you have Sticky Hold, so you can't even be knocked off, or you just run Poison Touch to, you know, pretty much almost guarantee Poison Jab poisoning, you know, the switching. And I do think Muck is decent. Definitely needs some more, you know, use or some more experimentation for people to understand what it does, but I do think it could like have a niche in the tier. Now onto Oinkologne. Both forms of Oinkologne, they do have different stats, and in terms of which one to actually use, probably the male one gets used a bit more, but I don't know if that'll be relevant enough for both of them to actually stay NU. Like, I don't see this thing staying NU. I think we get both forms in PU, by the way, but yeah, let's stick to NU for now. It does have some interesting text that it was running in RU, particularly using like things like Lychee Berry Stuffed Cheeks. And if you guys don't know what Stuffed Cheeks does, it basically was Greedent's signature move before they were like, yeah, this one doesn't deserve a signature move anymore. So, you know, you eat the berry, so you get an attack boost. You also get like body press, and your defense gets doubled. And it does have some decent coverage options in terms of what it can run. It has, you know, Stab Double Edge, it has Seed Bomb, Play Rough. Like, it has some good options to run on the physical side. And obviously that 100 base attack is decent, and it does have a cool ability in Thick Fat, so it is a fire and ice resist, which might come into clutch against Pokemon like Pyro, Houndoom, you know, and obviously they're like OHKO'd by Body Press after Stuffed Cheek. So yeah, this one it definitely has a niche. The female form, I don't know why you would really want to use this one. I suppose because this one has I can't even speak English. Aroma Veil. Why was I struggling to say that? Aroma Veil. It has Aroma Veil, so it's immune to Taunt. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure this one has higher defense. Like, yeah, this one has higher defense, while the female one has higher special defense. But the male one is probably better to use, to be honest. The male one also has higher attack. But yeah, definitely a mon that has a niche. Don't know if it stays NU. Probably doesn't, but because you have like how many other normal types to really think about. But yeah, Oranguru. God, time to speak about lower tier psychics again. Yeah, Oranguru. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, what's this thing doing that Grumpig isn't doing? Like, you just have to ask yourself that every single time. You know, what does this thing have? It doesn't even have Thunder Wave. You don't like. The utility options that this has compared to like Grumpig is like nowhere to be seen. Like, you have Trick, Grumpig has Trick. I'm pretty sure Grumpig has Yawn. I'm pretty sure Grumpig has Taunt. Like, it's just like, why use this over Grumpig? And even then, Like Grumpig's viability is like up in the air. Not to say it's bad, but it's not like a staple. But at the same time, Scarf Grumpig is pretty good. Oranguru is just worse Grumpig in every single situation. This mon is a PU goon. Cool. Oricuru forms. God damn, let's talk about Oricuru. We have Oricuru Pom Pom, we have Oricuru Sensu. Even the fire one is decent. I'm not gonna lie, someone has been using the fire one to good success, because the fire one probably benefits the most from Terra, because you know, you Terra, I mean, if you Terra, they're basically all the same Pokemon. So I don't know why people were using the fire one. I suppose you run heavy duty boots, and obviously fire flying is better offensively than the electric one, but you still have ghost flying. But at the same time, they all do the same thing. Like, let me just get up the psychic one, because why the hell not? You know, it's like this one, as long as it terrors, like, you know, psychic flying isn't bad. But yeah, QDs, it also comes in on all the QD users because of its ability Dancer. If this comes in on Quiver Dance, it will also just Quiver Dance too, and then it can also just Quiver Dance again, and you know, have 2 Quiver Dances up instead of 1. And yeah, Terra potential is insane. I do think, in terms of what the best ones are, is always been Pom Pom and Sensu. Like, that hasn't changed for, you know, 2 generations now. You know, Ghost Flying is better offensively, Electric Flying is the best defensively. You know, obviously Terra is interesting, because with Revelation Dance, when you change your primary typing, which is, you know, like Ghost and whatnot, Revelation Dance, you know, type varies based on the user's primary type. Obviously, if you Terra, you only have 1 type. So if you go Terra Fighting on the Oricuru Sensu form, you know, Revelation Dance turns into, you know, Fighting type attack. And obviously, if you go Terra Fighting on the Ghost one, this is probably the most beneficial, because the Ghost one is weak to Dark, and obviously Dark is weak to Fighting, and so on. So yeah, you could also go Terra Fairy. Also works just as well, because something like Spiritomb is obviously immune to you know, Fighting Revelation Dance, so it's best to go Fairy to hit that for super effective damage. But yeah, Oricuru is definitely, don't know about top 5 in NU, but it's definitely top 10 without a doubt. Like, the mon is too good in the tier, in my opinion. I don't know how it even dropped from RU. Like, this one was actually doing bits in RU, but all of them just dropped to NU, which is kind of weird in my opinion. Pachirisu, this is another Pokemon I spent about, you know, 5 seconds on. Is nicheless, so it doesn't do anything. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Let's discuss Pikachu, actually. Now, Pikachu gets a bit more time than Pachirisu, because, you know, Pachirisu is complete garbage, and Pikachu actually does damage. Now, unfortunately, I do believe Pikachu's the power level of NU is way too high for Pikachu to be effective. Again, there's a lot of electric competition. Like, Pikachu has like negative bulk, like this one drops to any attack, and unfortunately that makes it pretty hard to bring in onto the field compared to something like Luxray, compared to something like Jolteon, even Magneton. Like, the electric competition is a bit too much for Pikachu right now, and Raichu's also in this tier, so I don't know why you'd really want to use Pikachu. I mean, at the end of the day, like, Pikachu still has you know, it lost D-Speed, which is a shame, but it still has like fake out physical sets, which can, you know, differentiate itself from Raichu, but the power level is way too high for Pikachu. It'll definitely be a good Pokemon in PU, in my opinion, but I don't know, is a bit too hard to use in NU. But I just wanted to give it a little bit of a mention, because I do think it's better than, you know, some of the stuff I mentioned, like Pachirisu. Like, Pachirisu's a complete on-one. Pikachu actually could see some usage, but it requires a lot of support and probably isn't worth it, because there's better picks in the meta right now. Persimmon. Oh god, I love Persimmon so much. Definitely one of my favorite fighting types to use in general, and definitely one of my favorite fighting types overall. Like, I've always liked Persimmon's design. I do think it's cool. But yeah, this one's pretty solid. Choice Scarf. You can never go wrong with Choice Scarf Persimmon. Like, this one, regardless of what tier is in, Choice Scarf is literally probably going to be the best set on it. Now, you know, it has U-turn, as I've said before. You know, Scarfle with pivoting options is always pretty nice. The last move is pretty customizable, of course. You've always had Gunk Shot to run. You always had Rock Slide to hit flying type Pokemon. It also has, what else can you run? I mean, you could also go Iron Head in the last slot, but obviously Gunk Shot, like, in terms of hitting fairies, Gunk Shot is the better option, of course. So yeah, this is Persimmon's bread and butter. In terms of non-Choice Scarf sets, at the same time, I do want to suggest like Choice Band. Like, there are slightly better Pokemon in terms of what could do a banded setback. Obviously, Medicham shares your speed and hits a lot harder than you and can honestly threaten you out quite easily. Tauros fighting is faster and, you know, has a slightly less attack stat, but obviously the speed tier comes into clutch as well. It screens breaking potential of Raging Bull, which is basically stronger brick break and, you know, stuff like that. Even Phalanx. But yeah, in terms of the Scarf set, no other fighting is doing the Choice Scarf set the best other than Persimmon, to be honest. But yeah, this is definitely going to be an NU staple for sure. I don't think this mon gets a lot of usage, so I don't think it's dropping to PU. Berserker, got a few steel types. Not better than Copper Roger, unfortunately, because Copper Roger has, I mean, this also has Stealth Rocks. I do think is a decent alternative. I suppose, like, you do have Tough Claws to boost your contact moves by 30%. You have U-turn, which Copper Roger doesn't have. You have Iron Head. I mean, Copper Roger also has Iron Head. But it's just the fact that Copper Roger has a higher HP stat, which makes it relatively more bulkier. Copper Roger also has Sheer Force too, which is also the same multiplier as, you know, Tough Claws. So they're relatively hitting as hard as each other. But, you know, Heavy Slam from Copper Roger hits, like, very hard. But, yeah, I mean, it's a steel type, so you kind of do have to kind of respect it. Also, Terra Steel, Steely Spirit. Like, if someone wanted to try and run Trick Room on this mon would kind of just Oko everything. Like, I might have to run, like, Trick Room with Berserker, honestly, because Steely Spirit, like, plus Terra Steel, like, I'm honestly baffed towards switching into that. Like, I'm concerned. I'm really concerned for what can switch into this. But yeah, I do think it has a niche for sure. Like, it's not a bad Pokemon per se, because like the lack of steals will always just make this mon decent enough. But we'll see how it does. We'll see how it does. Persian, this is also another Pokemon I don't think does anything. Like, the last time, I don't think Persian has ever had a niche in NU ever. Like, its Alolan form definitely has. Regular Persian, no. Like, this mon is too weak. Like, the normal competition is too high. Like, outside of the normal types, like Zangoose is here, the Dunsparce is here, Braviary. I would rather use Gumshoes over Persian, to be honest. Now, as much as Persian speed tier is actually like pretty good, it doesn't hit hard enough. It's frail as hell, and you know the competition is just too much for this to actually be viable. Like even Stantler, you know, is in this tier, has Intimidate, and you know doesn't do much until you know Weird Day comes out. Because I would have said every like Stantler might have a niche somewhere, but you know, yeah, Persian's not a good Pokemon in NU, to be honest. What's next? We have Pincurchin. Now, Pincurchin is the only electric terrain set in the entire, you know, Scarlet and Violet meta right now, and it's made its way down to NU because, you know, it's Pincurchin. Like, it's really not offering much in terms of, you know, utility in the higher tiers. Even though you have a lot of Paradox Pokemon, which obviously can activate their Cork Drive under electric terrain, Pincurchin just doesn't support them too well. Like, if Tapu Koko was here, obviously Tapu Koko's Volt Switch is a lot faster, is actually, you know, threatening offensively. But yeah, Pincurchin just lost anything that made it good. You know, e.g. Rise and Voltage. Like, Rise and Voltage made Pincurchin hit so hard, and now it just kind of lost that option, which is a shame. It does have spikes though, so I do think it definitely has a solidified niche in NU. Like I said earlier with Drifblim, it can go Electric Seed Unburden under, you know, Pincurchin, sort of Calm Mind and just start, you know, sweeping from there. So Pincurchin can enable a Pokemon like that to put in work. So yeah, definitely has a niche for sure. Cool. What's P? Let me not even type it in. I just have to scroll down. There's a lot of Pokemon to go through, to be fair. Pyro. Now, I discussed Pyro. It does, you know, like Houndoom has competition with Pyro, but yeah, Pyro is definitely one of the best special breakers in the tier when you consider that like the fire resist like get cooked by Hyper Voice pretty well. You also have like Terra Blast Grass as an option to run, so you can absolutely cook water types. Like Vaporeon gets cooked, you know, Basculin gets cooked, any other water type, you know, all of these guys just get cooked by Terra Blast Fire, to be honest. And obviously I said Terra Blast Fire, Terra Blast Grass. So yeah, Pyro is definitely a strong Pokemon. You just go Fire Blast, Hyper Voice, then Overheat. And yeah, there isn't that many Pokemon that can switch into this. I suppose Goodra is an offensive Pokemon that can somewhat take a hit and obviously switches into the fire moves quite well. But if you're not facing AV Goodra and like Pyro clicks Hyper Voice into you, then yeah, it's a pretty tough time. But yeah, this Pokemon is definitely good for sure. A lack of fire types too. Like, yeah, Pyro's definitely thriving. Coolfish. Now, Coolfish has, Coolfish made it. Obviously, it has Intimidate. It has both spikes. Like, in terms of like hazards and like, it's a fighting resist. Like, other than Medicham, which obviously Medicham cooks Coolfish quite efficiently. Like, it's probably one of the best, fighting checks in the tier. Unfortunately, it activates Persimian's Defiant ability, which if it clicks like knockoff into you, then you're kind of in danger. But it still has Toxic Spikes. It lost Scald, which I guess isn't the end of the world for Quillfish, because like back in like Gen 8, Gen 7, like sometimes it would just tech like Waterfall because like Scald was coming off of a base 55 attack stat. So Quillfish doesn't really mind Scald being gone, it just runs Waterfall and they can actually put out a decent offensive output. And then like it still has options like Destiny Bond, it still has T-Wave. Like it kept a lot of the stuff that like it was running in previous generations, and they can pretty much just do the same thing again in Gen 9. Obviously, and bring Terra to its advantage. Now I don't know what Terra type would be best to run on Quillfish, because like you could go Ghost to stop things from spinning on you, and Ghost still gives you a fighting immunity, which makes you handle fire types a lot better, obviously, so that's pretty nice as well. But yeah, Quillfish is definitely a good Pokemon too. Quaxwell, let's discuss Quaxwell, because in a tier that has about roughly 4 consistent spinners, 5 if you really want to, stretch it to Toad School. Like, Quaxwell is definitely, like, one of the better ones. It's probably, like, first or second place. And the top 2 are Carco and Quaxwell. Not even Delibird. Delibird is, like, nowhere to be seen. But, yeah, Quaxwell has Eviolite. Is a pure water type, so the defensive typing is good enough. It, unfortunately, doesn't have U-turn like its evolution does, which, honestly, would have been pretty nice. Because you would go, like, Spin, U-turn, Roost, and then like Water Stab, which is a shame now because like it has reliable recovery, but it just doesn't have that pivoting option, which I really feel like it would have needed here, to be honest. And then it has like Spin, and then like I don't even know what you run last because it's an NFE Pokemon, so it doesn't really have coverage anywhere. I suppose you could go like Encore or something. I feel like Encore is probably your best option to go, but yeah, like Quaxwell, we'll have to make do. I don't want to say Quaxwell is necessarily bad. I have tried running it and it is a decent pick. But yeah, we really are coping hard on the hazard removal options in Generation 9 NU. But yeah, cool. On to our Raichu. Oh wait, Rabscar. I was about to click Raichu. But yeah, let's discuss Rabscar. Revival Blessing. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, it's Revival Blessing. You have Leopard Berry. You're able to revive 2 Pokemon, and the power level is low enough for Rabscar to not absolutely get like manhandled. Like Bug Psychic isn't the best defensive typing, but at the same time, it quad resists fighting. It checks, it also I don't know what else this thing resists, to be fair. I think the fighting resistance is obviously the most important thing here. And yeah, it's also ground resist. I don't know how relevant that really is, but I'm just mentioning out the few defensive merits that Rabscar has with its typing. But yeah, it's Revival Blessing. Like, what else do I really need to say about Rabscar? It actually is in a tier where it doesn't get absolutely folded straight away. So, there's stuff like that. Raichu, you have Jolteon, and it's definitely facing competition from Jolteon as an offensive Pokemon. Well, Jolteon doesn't have Nasty Plot and doesn't have the coverage options that Raichu has. Now, Jolteon is pretty reliant on Terra to actually be threatening because, outside of T-Bolt and Shadow Ball, the coverage is barren, and any ground type would reliably just handle Jolteon here. But Raichu has coverage outside of that. It has T-Bolt, it has Surf, it has, Grass Knot. It can obviously Terrastalize to, if you Terra Grass Knot Vaporeon, I'm pretty sure it drops. I mean, to be fair, you just get T-Ball versus that, but yeah, it does have good options here. It has Focus Blast too. But yeah, it's a decent alternative to Jolteon, which, is more of a breaker, while Raichu is more of a sweeper because it has something to double its special attack stat. Alright, what's the next Pokemon to discuss? Yeah, so we discussed Raichu, we discussed Rabscar. Again, scrolling down all the way, this list is too long. Rotom forms, okay. let's think about this for a second. Now, Rotom forms, you have Fan and Frost are the legal ones here, plus the, you know, original Rotom. Now, I don't really think these guys, I mean, regular Rotom I don't think is too good. Like, I mean, it just has an average stat board and it just isn't really too strong in my opinion. It's also like 91 is good enough, but being 1 point slower than something like Bruxish really sucks for it. Like, you're pretty much just delegated to like a Scarf role, I feel. And then, like, if you're running normal Rotom, you're not running like Frost, which I do think has a decent niche. Like, you know, Bolt Beam oh my days, Bolt Beam combination is always nice. It has Nasty Clock too. But yeah, I just think the fighting, like the common fighting types in the tier, really just annoy this thing. And obviously you could Terra as well, but at the same time, you know, one Pokemon Terra, like if you've already used Terra, then fighting types really just force this thing out. It still struggles with a rock weakness, so you're pretty much forced to run heavy duty boots, but it does have Levitate, so it doesn't care about Spike, so it's chilling. Fan on the other hand, I don't know, like, you know, you have Oricorio, Pom Pom, and Frost is the superior Rotom form, so it's pretty hard to, you know, actually justify using this Pokemon right now. But, you know, if I see this thing in PU, I'll give it a shot, because I do think, you know, it'll probably be decent or good in PU, to be honest. But yeah, Sandaconda, definitely the premier ground type in this tier, for sure. You know, it's good bulk, it has glare, it has shed skin or sand spit, depending on which one you want to use. I do think shed skin is the superior ability. But yeah, it has rocks, body press, earthquake, like it hits pretty hard actually. You know, has good bulk too. Like, this is definitely the premier ground type, and like definitely one of NU's best defensive Pokemon. Now, is Mudsdale is in RU, so is it like, if Mudsdale was here, then, you know, Sandaconda really wouldn't really have much of a good time. But yeah, this is our premier ground type in the tier, and it's definitely a super good Pokemon. Sourcebuck, normal competition again. Like, NU is the home of many normal type Pokemon. Now, I do think Sourcebuck has like a pretty good niche as a Scarfer, just because it has 95 base speed, is faster than a lot of like common Scarfers right now. It also has Serene Grace Headbutt, and I do think with Terra Normal, like with the 60% flinch chance, I do think this one's going to be pretty threatening. Now, Headbutt isn't the strongest move in the world, obviously. Like, you know, it's only 70 base power. You do have Body Slam, which is slightly stronger, and Double Edge, which is way stronger. And I do think Terra Normal Double Edge with a Choice Scarf set is definitely pretty threatening, in my opinion. But at the same time, I'm just like, the recoil is too much, and, you know, it has no way of hitting ghost types. But yeah, its strongest like normal move is like Seed Bomb, and I don't know if it only got Seed Bomb this generation, because I don't recall Sourcebuck actually had Seed Bomb in Generation 7. Let me just double check that quickly. Is Showdown lagging? Oh my days! Why is Chrome lagging? Oh my days! My bad, guys. Yeah, so it did have Seed Bomb, so yeah, it's either Horn Leech or Seed Bomb. It does have Mega Horn too. Like, Sourcebuck has some interesting coverage options. I don't know why I click special, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Play Rough, Stomping Tantrum to hit Steel types, I do think is worth. You could potentially go Terra Ground on this too. But yeah, I feel like the competition's a bit too much on the normal side for Sourcebuck to see much usage. But yeah, Terra Normal Headbutt, give that consideration, guys, okay? Cool. Any other NFEs that I need to talk about? Cypher. Let's talk about Cypher. Cypher is interesting. Unfortunately, lost Roost, so like Eviolite sets don't even exist. And I mean, to be honest, ever since Heavy Duty Boots came, there was no reason to run Eviolite Cypher at all. But yeah, also lost Dual Wing Beat. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if Dual Wing Beat was here, I would be saying Cypher's insane. But yeah, it lost that, so we'll just have to do with some moves like Pounce or like Trailblaze. Like, it lost Bug Bite too, which is just awful. I mean, Wing Attack is still Technician boosted, so, you know, it's not the end of the world that we lost Dual Wing Beat, but, you know, sticking to Wing Attack is just awful, to be honest. Cypher also benefits a lot from Terrestrialization, because, you know, Steel types, like, it got CC this gen, and obviously Steel types were obviously the things that made it really annoying for like the SD set, but now you just Terra Fighting CC +2 and, you know, something's dying. But yeah, Not enough people are really talking about Cypher. Having a quad, you know, resistance to fighting when fighting is everywhere and you're also faster than all of the fighting types. Like, yeah, Cypher's good, man. Cypher's definitely good. Cool. Scovillain. Let's discuss Scovillain. I don't really rate this one too much, honestly. Like, I do think it's a one that is heavily reliant on weather to really function. Like, it's too frail and too slow to really, you know, like, NU is still at that point where 75 is still kind of too slow. Like, you're slower than Gudra for crying out loud, you know, and you just don't have the coverage either. Like, you're hardwood by Gudra. Like, I don't rate Scovillain at all, to be honest. Like, you do just need chlorophyll for this one to be good, and I don't know how good Manual Sun is. I'm pretty sure Macro gets, you know, Sunny Day, so, you know, you do have, like, some pranks to set in, but, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Scovillain is that good, to be honest. But, yeah. Cool. Survivor, let's discuss Survivor. Again, this is also another Pokemon I don't think stays NU. I don't really think Survivor has anything going for it either. Like, it's too slow. Definitely a PU goon, to be honest. I don't really even want to spend too much time on it because, like, it does have some good, interesting traits as a Pokemon. It does have some interesting coverage options from Flamethrower, Earthquake, you know, Giga Drain, for example. And I'm just like, even got Psychic Fangs. I don't know if that was last gen or this gen. Don't even remember Survival was in Gen A, I think it was, but yeah, Psychic Fangs is also pretty interesting too, but yeah, it's definitely a PU goon. Don't know how good it will be there, but it's definitely a PU goon. Skuntank, I mean, just because of what Skuntank is, I can't really see this one dropping to PU, to be fair. Like, I do think it has some use. Like, it does have Toxic, it lost Defog, which is unfortunate. I would solidify and say Skuntank would definitely be NU staple for sure if it had Defog, but yeah, that's just unfortunate. I mean, it's a dark type that isn't weak to fighting, and it's also a poison type that isn't weak to psychic. It also just threatens a lot as well. Something like Ramscar, even it does have some decent bulk and it does have T-spikes. But yeah, honestly, I don't know how good Skuntank's going to be, but I don't think it drops the PU though. Like, I feel like some people will find some use out of it for sure. Cool. Sneasel, let's discuss Sneasel now. Like, Sneasel's one of the fastest Pokemon, and with a choice band, like, I do think this one can hit relatively hard. The only issue with Sneasel is that, like, a lot of his damage output really came from the power of knockoff, and not having knockoff is kind of annoying. Sneasel doesn't even have Night Slash. What? There's no way this doesn't have Night Slash. It had Night Slash in, like, I'm pretty sure it had Night Slash in Gen 4. What is this? Wow, no, they actually killed this Pokemon. I'm pretty sure Sneasel had Night Slash in Gen 4. Like, what? No. Like, I have to check that. I have to check that because I'm really confused here. Like, it had knockoff. Wait, did Sneasel never have Night Slash? Wow. Maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe this thing just never had dark coverage until, you know, knockoff came. But I'm really shocked that it does have Night Slash. It doesn't have any Dark Stab to use. I was really gonna say this one could actually be decent, but, like, wow, you just don't have anything, man. Like, what? I mean, you do have good coverage options in Brick Break, which obviously hits Steel types for super effective. You also have Poison Jump to hit Fairy types as well. You also have Priority Ice Shard, but no Dark Stab. That hurts. I mean, beat up, I suppose. Beat up banned. Okay, like, the stocks are going a bit higher now. Like, I was low-key panicking for this Pokemon, but the stocks are here. Beat up. Yeah, okay. Pterodon beat up. Okay, I'm cooking. Okay. Sneasel, you've impressed me now. I was a bit scared for you, but, like, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I don't know how many people bring usage out of it, but I'll have to use all of these Pokemon and see how it goes. Slacking, like, it's slacking, you know, like, Truon, but at the same time, like, it does hit hard, but it's just too inconsistent. Like, I don't think this mon stays NU, but it's slacking. Like, what can we really expect? You know, like, Truon really just new to this Pokemon. Spidops, the premier web setter, definitely stays NU by usage just because, you know, everyone's just gonna spam Sticky Web's hyper offense onto the ladder, and Spidops, you know, does that job pretty well. It has Sticky Webs, it has spikes. You know, even has T-spikes too, so, you know, it has that for going for it. And yeah, it doesn't have any way of, like, killing itself instantly, like with like, oh, it does have memento. So yeah, if you really just want Spidops to be gone after like setting up a couple of hazards, then you could just memento yourself out. And yeah, Spidops is interesting, I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, it has spikes and has webs, so it's definitely the best web set in the tier. So yeah, Spidops actually has found a place to, you know, thrive after being like basically the worst like fully evolved Gen 9 Pokemon. Spiritomb, the only respite against Medicham, even though that can just Terra Fairy and blow up Spiritomb anyway. But other than that situation, Spiritomb, the best answer to Medicham. Crotomb sets are pretty solid, I'm not gonna lie. They're really strong late game win cons, just because you just go Sleep Talk, Dark Pulse. It's very hard to kill Spiritomb, to be honest. Like, is bulky too. Obviously you just go max defense, max HP, and then you have Calm Mind boosting your you know, special defense stat. And yeah, Crotomb is back in order. Like, Crotomb is a pretty solid set. You could also go like, you know, offensive with like Sucker Punch priority. It does threaten some Pokemon like Orikuru, Sensu, for example, if you know, they don't Terra Fairy, for example, and stuff like that. But yeah, Spiritomb is definitely going to stay NU for sure, just because for now, like, having a mon that, you know, can guaranteed beat Medicham under certain situations, if it's not Terra Fairy, then yeah, like, this one's good. Now Squawkabilly, now this one's actually going to be good, I'm not gonna lie. I do think it's decent. Like, there's a lot of guts Pokemon in this tier, and Squawkabilly isn't any different from them. It also has Hustle, which you know, you could go Hustle Heavy Duty Boots, get the same job done as Guts, but at the same time, Hustle comes with, you know, missing your moves, you know, 80% of the time. For example, you have Brave Bird. You also can't run Facade, which is probably the biggest thing for Squawkabilly, because like, you do go for Double Edge, but you know, 140 base power stab versus 120 base power stab, like, you know, the damage difference is there. So it's a 50-50 which one you want to go. I suppose you can go Flame on Guts, but you know, you also have to come with the fact that you are going to be weak to you know, hazards, especially if you like Terra Normal. You start being vulnerable to spikes as well. So yeah, but yeah, on Hustle set you'll be more inclined to run Heavy Duty Boots, so that's why, you know, I'm saying that Hustle might be better. But either way, Guts, you know, you have Brave Bird, Facade, you have U-turn too. Like, this one actually has a decent, you know, move pool in terms of what it needs to do. Like, all it needs is dual stabs, U-turn. You could go like Terra Blast, you know, fighting or ground to hit steel type Pokemon as well. But yeah, Terra Normal also gets the job done too. But people are just gonna say, why not just run Zangoose? Now, at the same time, Zangoose hits a lot harder than this Pokemon. Like, you know, Zangoose is slower. Zangoose doesn't have dual stab on Brave Bird. So yeah, Squawkabilly is definitely a nice alternative to Zangoose for sure. Don't know if it gets enough usage to stay NU, but because Zangoose is just so much stronger than it, but it's definitely a decent Pokemon. Stantler, yeah, I don't see anything going for Stantler, to be fair. Like, not until like it has that Eviolite, where I do think it would be a niche option, but for now, there's no reason to really run Stantler, to be fair. Cool. What's next? We have Stonjourner. Now, Stonjourner, again, I do think the power level is a bit too high for Stonjourner to really be a good Pokemon. Sandaconda is also kind of common as well, but I suppose like you could utilize like Terra Blast Water, for example. But again, using like your Terra on a suboptimal Pokemon right now, when you could use it on any other broken thing in the meta right now, I don't know, man. But yeah, I don't think Stonjourner is that good, to be fair. I don't think it's good at all. But yeah, Sudowoodo, 5 seconds is bad. Next Pokemon to discuss. Cool, what's next? We have Sunflora. This is also a pretty bad Pokemon. I'm not even going to click on them. Like, it's not worth me clicking on them for you guys to see. They're bad. Swallow's interesting. It is competing with Mach on a slot, to be fair, in my opinion, but it does have some interesting stuff. It has SD now. I think it had SD before, but it got something new, I think. It got Body Press, like Acid Armor Body Press. I'm pretty sure it has Amnesia too. Like, this could actually be a decent, you know, late game cleaner, to be honest, with like Body Press, and then like you go Rest, for example. Like, you'll be very hard to beat this Pokemon down. It also has Sticky Hold, so you're always guaranteed to keep your leftovers too. So I do think like double setup like here, Swallow could be interesting to run. Or even like Curse. you know, attacking. But yeah, I think this thing is pretty versatile compared to Muck, to be fair. But we'll see how it goes. I don't think it stays NU either, but PU will definitely have a fun time with Swallow, to be fair, for sure. Tauros Paldea. Okay, Tauros Paldea is our last Pokemon we're going to talk about in this video, and then, you know, I'll save the rest for part 3. But yeah, Tauros Paldea fighting. You're probably thinking, obviously this is the worst Tauros, so it made it all the way down here. And it has a lot of fighting competition, so you're not expecting much from this thing. But it does have Bulk Up, it does have Trailblaze. It is faster than all of the other fighting types. I'm pretty sure it's the fastest fighting type in the tier. So, you know, don't really count out this Pokemon yet. It does hit hard, 110 attack. It does have Intimidate, pretty good ability, all things considered. And yeah, once you have Trailblaze up, you'll be very hard to find something that can revenge kill this thing very reliably. And then you have Terra potential too. So yeah, Tauros fighting, definitely all the fighting types in this tier have something that they can offer to the table. Like, let's quickly look at the other fighting types quickly. But yeah, all the fighting types in this tier have a lot to offer, maybe other than Crabominable, just because I think that one is definitely the worst fighting type. But Phalanx has no retreat, Medicham is broken, Persimion's like NU staple for sure. Toxicroak, which I haven't talked about in this video and we'll talk about in the next part, is pretty good too. And Tauros is definitely good as well. But yeah, that is it for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Hopefully you're enjoying Scarlet and Violet NU if you've played it. Again, let me know what your favorite Pokemon is to use so far. I have to say that I have been enjoying Basculin and Luxray recently. So yeah, and there's so many other Pokemon that I want to try using in NU. But yeah, thanks for watching this video again, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.